Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited about today's video because we're talking about something super important for all those amazing expectant mothers out there. Food. Specifically, what to avoid during that wonderful second trimester. We all know that what you eat is crucial for a healthy pregnancy, and while most foods are perfectly fine, there are a few things we want to steer clear of. Don't worry, it's not about deprivation. It's about making smart choices for you and your little one. So get comfy, grab a glass of water, extra important to stay hydrated, and let's dive right into the list of foods to avoid during the second trimester. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into an important topic for expecting mothers. Foods to avoid in the second trimester. Foods to avoid in. All right, first up is something near and dear to my heart. Seafood. I love sushi, but this is one craving to put on hold during your second trimester. We're talking about raw or undercooked seafood. Sushi, sashimi, ceviche, oysters, all off limits. The risk of foodborne illnesses like salmonella and vibrio is higher with raw seafood. These can be risky for your baby's health. Don't worry, you don't have to give up seafood completely. Just make sure it's cooked to 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Your taste buds and your baby will thank you. Let's move on to the next food to avoid during the second trimester. Okay, moving on to something a little less adventurous but equally important: dairy. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up your morning latte or that occasional scoop of ice cream. What we do want to avoid is unpasteurized dairy products. Think soft cheeses like brie, camembert, and feta, and yes, even those fancy blue cheeses. Unpasteurized milk and juices also fall into this category. The culprit here is bacteria, my friends. Unpasteurized products can contain harmful bacteria like listeria, which can cause an infection called listeriosis. And while it might just feel like a bad flu for you, it can be much more serious for your developing baby. The good news is, most dairy products you find in grocery stores are pasteurized, meaning they're heat-treated to kill off any harmful bacteria. Just double-check those labels, especially for those fancy imported cheeses. Remember, safety first. Now let's move on to the next food to avoid during the second trimester. Many of us rely on that morning cup of coffee or tea to get our day started. But during pregnancy, especially the second trimester, rethink that caffeine dependency. Moderation is key here. Limit your caffeine intake to about 200 milligrams per day. That's roughly one 12-ounce cup of coffee. Switch to decaf for one of them. High caffeine intake has been linked to miscarriage and low birth weight. Enjoy your coffee or tea in moderation and explore delicious decaf options. Chapter 4. Fishy Business. Choosing your seafood wisely. Avoiding raw fish is crucial. But let's talk about mercury. High mercury levels can harm a developing baby's nervous system. Fish is a great source of protein and omega-3 fatty acids. Choose low mercury options like salmon, shrimp, cod, tilapia, and catfish. Avoid high mercury fish like swordfish, king mackerel, and shark. Stick with smaller, milder flavored fish. Let's move on to the next food to avoid during the second trimester. Chapter 5. Sunny side up. Not today. Eggs are a great source of protein and other nutrients, but just like with seafood, we want to be extra careful about how we prepare them during pregnancy. That means saying no to raw or undercooked eggs. Remember those delicious cookie doughs we talked about earlier? Yeah, those are off limits too, unfortunately. The culprit here is a bacteria called salmonella, which can be found in raw eggs. Salmonella can cause food poisoning, which can lead to unpleasant symptoms like fever, diarrhea, and vomiting. For pregnant women, it can also pose a risk to the baby's health. The good news is, cooking eggs thoroughly kills off salmonella. So, scrambled eggs, omelets, frittatas, and well-cooked boiled eggs are all perfectly safe to enjoy. Just make sure that yolk is nice and firm. Let's move on to the next food to avoid during the second trimester. Chapter 6. Deli Delights. Enjoy with caution. Who doesn't love a good sandwich? But when it comes to deli meats, pregnant women need to be a little more cautious. While those cold cuts might seem harmless, they can harbor a bacteria called listeria. Remember listeria from our dairy discussion? It's the same bacteria that can cause listeriosis, an infection that can be particularly harmful during pregnancy. Now, this doesn't mean you have to give up sandwiches altogether. If you're craving a deli meat fix, here's the key. Heat it up until it's steaming hot. This will kill off any potential bacteria and make it safe to eat. Another tip is to opt for pre-packaged deli meats rather than freshly sliced ones at the deli counter. This can reduce the risk of cross-contamination. Let's move on to the next food to avoid during the second trimester. Alcohol, a big no-no. This one's pretty straightforward, but it's important to reiterate. Alcohol and pregnancy don't mix. No amount of alcohol is considered safe during pregnancy, especially during the second trimester when your baby's organs are rapidly developing. Alcohol can pass through the placenta and directly affect the fetus, increasing the risk of fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, or FASDs. These disorders can cause a range of physical, cognitive, and behavioral problems. So, while it might be tempting to have a glass of wine with dinner or a celebratory toast, it's just not worth the risk. Opt for some sparkling cider or a mocktail instead. Your body and your baby will thank you. Let's move on to the next food to avoid during the second trimester. Chapter 8. High mercury fish. A second reminder. We've already touched upon this in our fishy business chapter, but it's worth repeating. Be mindful of mercury content in fish. High mercury fish can be harmful to a developing baby's nervous system, affecting brain development. Remember, the larger and longer-lived the fish, the more mercury it's likely to contain. So, while swordfish steaks and tuna sashimi might sound tempting, they're best avoided during pregnancy. Instead, load up on those low-mercury options like salmon, shrimp, cod, tilapia, and catfish. These fish are not only delicious, but also packed with nutrients that are beneficial for both you and your baby. Let's move on to the next food to avoid during the second trimester. Chapter 9. Vitamin A. Everything in moderation. Vitamin A is an essential nutrient, especially during pregnancy. It plays a crucial role in cell growth and development. However, too much vitamin A, particularly in the form of retinol found in animal products, can be harmful to a developing baby. Excessive intake of retinol during pregnancy has been linked to birth defects. So, while it's important to get enough vitamin A, it's equally important not to overdo it. The good news is that most people get enough vitamin A through a healthy diet. Focus on consuming vitamin A from plant-based sources like sweet potatoes, carrots, spinach, and kale. These foods contain beta-carotene, which your body converts to vitamin A as needed. Let's move on to the last food to avoid during the second trimester. Chapter 10. Processed foods. Keep it clean. Let's be honest, we all enjoy the occasional bag of chips or a slice of pizza. But during pregnancy, it's important to focus on nourishing your body with whole, unprocessed foods as much as possible. Processed foods are often high in unhealthy fats, sugar, salt, and artificial ingredients, which offer little nutritional value. They can also contribute to excessive weight gain and other health problems. Instead of reaching for that bag of chips, opt for a handful of nuts or some sliced vegetables with hummus. Choose grilled chicken or fish over fried options, and cook at home more often so you can control the ingredients. Remember, you are what you eat, and your baby is what you eat too. And there you have it, our top 10 foods to avoid during your second trimester. Remember, this isn't about deprivation. but about making conscious choices that support a healthy pregnancy for you and your growing little one. If you're ever unsure about a particular food, don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor or a registered dietitian. They can provide personalized guidance based on your individual needs. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more tips on a healthy pregnancy. Stay safe and take care.